Thank you. Yeah, but it was positive. So many. Yeah. Like this. Oh, this I was thinking back at my This is fine. I actually, well, I'm not sure if I'm blind, yeah. But I'm like, I'll confirm with someone. Yeah.
Good morning, good evening, everyone. I call this meeting to order at 7:09 p.m. And we're gonna start off with amendments to the agenda. Please raise your hands if you have any amendments. Abby.
Can we strike bag allocations, please?
Yes. Tommy. Kyland.
Motion to add a bylaw change under Article 3, Section D, subsection 4, subsection B to the agenda.
You could just say the article.
Oh. Article 3.
Diego. Oh, sorry, that's oh no, it's not. Oh, Kylan, my bad.
Can we strike ARC allocations?
Diego.
Can I strike the UC presentation on policing? It's just been a long week with
Yes.
topic day.
Joy.
Can I strike TGIF allocations?
Have you? Can we get them a mic?
Can we add a presentation on the USSA Legislative Conference recap?
Yes.
Thank you.
Lucy.
Can we please strike contingent or capital contingency? Thank you.
Any other amendments? Josh.
Hello, can I please motion to add the on-campaigning start date to the agenda?
Yes.
On-campus campaigning start date, sorry.
Second. Can someone second?
Second.
Josh motions, Robbie seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 12-0 vote, that is approved. Any other amendments? Josh?
Can I please motion to add the basic essential needs referendum to the agenda?
10 seconds. Josh motions, Javi seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 13-0 vote, that is approved. Any other amendments? Kind
May I add a discussion item titled discussion item based on ASUCLA's lack of administrative support?
yes. Any final amendments? Josh,
Oh, sorry, I accidentally had my hand up.
could someone motion to approve the agenda, please?
Adam.
Have you?
Adam,
Yes.
the bylaw change is currently listed as an action item. If it is an action item, it needs a motion.
It can't be an action item.
Sorry, that's my bad. It's not supposed to be an action item.
Can we do that?
What's the question?
Voting to override the bylaws.
You can vote to suspend the bylaws for this particular section.
Okay, but
yes,
you have to
it's-
motion that, yeah. Yes.
Motion to suspend the bylaw 2-week requirement to vote on a bylaw change.
Second.
Tommy motions, Javi seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 13-0 vote, that is approved. Could we now approve the agenda, please? Javi,
Motion, if you want it to be an action item still.
sorry.
You still need to approve it as an action item.
Okay.
Before you.
Okay, Tommy.
Motion to add USAC bylaw change as an action item.
Second.
Tommy motions, Javi seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 13-0 vote, that is approved. Could we now please approve the agenda? Javi.
I move to approve the April 8th USAC agenda. I second.
Javi motions, Tamim seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 13-0 oh, Josh, is that abstain?
Sorry, that was yes.
With a 13-0 vote, that is approved. We have minutes from April 1st. Does anyone object to the approval of the minutes? Seeing none, we're going to go into a public comment. Just a reminder for everyone that's here for public comment, we have 30 minutes total and each speaker has 2 minutes allocated. And some of our public comment community guidelines include challenge ideas, not individuals, use gender inclusive and respectful language, and freedom of speech does not mean freedom from accountability. With that being said, do we have anyone here that's here in person that would like to give public comments? We'll start off with Leila.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Layla. I'm the chapter chair of CalPERG here at UCLA, and I wanted to give an update for this week. First thing, we met with Robbie last week to talk about our benefit concert. Thank you so much for the advice. It was very helpful. So we're really excited about all of that coming together. I also wanted to give an update. We've been doing our recruitment drive this past week. So we did a bunch of class announcements, educated over 2,000 students on our Oceans campaign. We also collected over 200 petitions in just one day to expand our marine protected areas in California, protect more of our oceans, especially the closest one that we're trying to expand to us here is at Point Dume in Malibu. So we're going to be working on that, especially through our Earth Week event for LA Ocean Day, getting local elected officials to come and support that. But yeah, we are also working on some other events for Earth Week, including a sustainable fashion event and a Save the Bees event, working with B Plate. No B plate without the bees. But yeah, that is my update for this week. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Leila. Is there anyone else that's here in person for public comment? Yes, in the glasses.
Hi, everybody. My name is Paul Rodriguez Fitzgerald, and I'm just here to express my overwhelming support for the basic and essential needs referendum. As a transfer student, I feel like a lot of things on this campus are restrictive to us. But one of the things that has never been restrictive to me is our basic and essential needs, especially the ones provided through the community programs office. Right when I got here, they provided me a space where I felt welcomed and a part of a community. Not just because it's in the name, but because of like the incredible effort that they go through to make sure that transfer students and all students of any income level, ethnic background, religious identity feel included and that they have a place at UCLA. I'm also a part of a Latinx fraternity, Gamma Zeta Alpha. And one of that was another place where I found a lot of just support, and organizations like mine wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the community programs office, if it wasn't for the support that they give us through something as simple as a speaker or giving us a platform to elevate our voices here on campus. And all of those things tie back into basic and essential needs. I have people who are in my fraternity who wouldn't be able to be a part of the student life here if it wasn't for our commuter van service. I wouldn't have as many friends who are able to do well and excel in school because we're not have to worry about like having food to eat. I remember when I was a first year here as a transfer, I would sometimes be like, I'm really hungry, but I have no money. And I don't know what I would do if it wasn't for the community programs office and the basic and essential needs that they've provided. Working with the community programs office has just shown me that this is something that's so important to experiences of all students here, including transfer students, including commuter students, including first year students, because it's programs and resources that are available to everybody. Seeing the gratitude of students after receiving a grocery bundle has just totally changed my experience and changed my life here. And for those reasons, I would just like to implore you guys to add the basic and essential needs referendum onto the ballot this quarter.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that's here in person for public comments? Yes.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here. My name is Carlos, and I also want to express my support for the Basic and Essential Needs referendum. A little background on me. I'm an undocumented student here at UCLA. I'm also a transfer, and I'm also part of Gamma Zeta Alpha fraternity. And the reason why I support this referendum is because being an undocumented student, I was denied a lot of resources here. There was a lot of opportunities that I couldn't take to advance in my career, be able to be successful for me, my family, and my community. And the ways that basic and essential needs has supported me is like one, like someone like me doesn't qualify for EBT or like a bunch of benefits. And so going to the food closet, it being anonymous and being able to grab food whenever I couldn't get something or afford something was meant a lot to me because, you know, it also like you need to be fed to be focusing on your classes, on work. And another thing is also being first generation. You don't have a lot of experience from your family, your parents on how to write a resume or how to write all this stuff that you need for your professional career. And I've used the WSP program, Writing Success, and just a bunch of like basic needs resources that have helped me a lot. And so that's why I just wanted to come here and express my support for all those resources.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that's here in person for public comment? Yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amani Carson. I'm also here to kind of push the importance of the basic essential needs referendum. And yeah, I'm a Black Samoan Tongan student. I'm a civil engineering second year. And when I first got here, I just really want to push the importance of like community and CPO. Like when I first got here, it was hard navigating campus, especially being a Black kid at a predominantly white school. And I felt like it was hard to find spaces for me to navigate that. When I did get my job at CPO, it allowed me to be like put myself in so many different spaces, whether it was the computer lab, whether it was the writing proficiency, or whether I'm driving somebody home for a commuter shift or whatever. Like I got to talk to a lot of different people and it opened up my confidence. Like that's something that I appreciate the most out of it. Like, yes, the facilities provide so many different things, but I think like the main thing that we provide is that sense of community. And yeah, like that's just what I wanted to touch upon.
Thank you. Is there anyone that's here in person that would like to give public comments? Yes.
Hello. What's up, y'all? My name is Adrian Andres Hindu. I'm a transfer student. I wanted to give y'all another perspective about the CPO referendum and a perspective upon the workers, the custodian workers there in the SAC Center, all of us that put in the effort for the community. The reason I bring them up is for me, they're like elders, the older ladies, the older gentlemen, all of us together, we're like a big family, and it reminds me of home, when I came to here to UCLA, I came with my grandmother. And I brought her to CPO and she loved it. She loved our mural. She loved that we were giving out food because she grew up in poverty. She grew up in a very low economic, unstable household, in Colombia and here in the US. Yeah, and I just wanted to express my support for this referendum. I'm Mexican, Colombian, Indian, transfer student, second generation, older brother, CPO intern. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that's here for public comment? Yes, in the yellow shirt.
Hello, my name is Isaiah Daco. I'm a first year undergraduate student, and I'm here to support the Basic and Essentials Need referendum. So I just want to talk a little bit about my experience at CPO. Coming as a first year student, I really had no one. And now CPO, they're more than just my coworkers. I work at CPO. They're my friends. And I feel like that inclusive community, they also bring a diverse culture that you don't see anywhere else on campus. So just having that perspective as a first year student and as an intern, and also community programs office, we serve more than just the students here at campus. Obviously, we serve the first generation students, low income students, but we also serve the community here. There's some people that go into the community programs office and they need the food closet, they need the collective, they need the hygiene products just for survival because they have nowhere else to get it because one, A, it costs money, or B, there's no other thing like that in Westwood. And just those services and those resources is why I support this referendum. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that's here for public comment? Yes, in the black shirt.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jay. I'm a third year undergraduate student, and I am Native American from the Mississippi Band of Choctaw Indians, and I'm also an out-of-state student. And so for me, the Community Programs Office has been a really essential need for me because I practically kind of live in there because I also work for the American Indian Recruitment Program in there as a site coordinator, so I'm constantly in there in the cube. And before I started working for CPO, the food closet was something I constantly walked past. Going to the collective was something I constantly used. And then now this year I live in an apartment, and next year I will also, and using the food resources they have there has been extremely important for me because there's times where I'm hungry or snackish, and there's sometimes I just need things, and they're always so welcoming and so nice and offering things to me. And I also just wanted to mention I've also been an intern for them. And so I've been to every single almost harvest distribution, food box giveaway. And to me, I've been handing out food to people and seeing their faces light up, being happy, oh, I get an extra mango, or oh, I get this extra food is kind of crazy. Cause a lot of people don't understand how important it is having these small items like vegetables and fruits in their lifestyles. Because for me growing up, I was low income, so I didn't often have those fresh fruits in my household. It was ramen or boxed foods, and so I just giving to the community. And so because I also receive, but being able to give to the community is very helpful and very nice, and I just very thankful for everything they have. And thank you.
Thank you. I believe we have someone that's wearing light blue in the corner. Sorry, I
Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Piemonte. I am a first-year biochem major here at UCLA. As a first year so far, I have been involved in the Pacific Islander Student Association and the Den Operations Club. But more so, I volunteered at CPO multiple times, and there has been multiple times where I've seen hundreds of students and UCLA faculty just leaving the space at the harvest distributions with smiles on their faces and food, fresh food and produce in their hands, leaving the space. And that is what I would support. That is what I like to support. So I'm here to support the basic needs referendum here at UCLA.
Thank you. Yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian. I'm also here to support the basic and essential needs referendum. I think it is very important to have such resources here on campus because as many before me have said, that it builds a community. And I'd like to emphasize that that community is not just students. I've noticed a lot of our homeless population here in Westwood also using our resources and getting food. Like how one of my coworkers had said, and friend Isaiah had said, it's not really something you see here in such an affluent city to really be providing for the community. So having that here at UCLA, I think it's important to keep, especially because I feel like one of the reasons I chose to study here was because I felt as though it was a school that would choose to move forward and be for the community and always be kind of open-minded to everyone. And with community, that is people who look like me, that's people who look like you. And I think it's important to help everyone.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that's here for public comments? Yes.
Hi everyone, my name is Lumina. I am a first year transfer, so a third year. I'm majoring in Phi-Sci and a minor in food studies. I'm also an international student. And then this fall quarter is my first quarter here at UCLA, and I have the opportunity to intern at CPO, and it's honestly one of the best experience at this campus. It's because as international students, I don't get a lot of access to some of the resources on campus, or I don't know where to find access to it. And then luckily enough, I am able to intern here and found out that there are so many opportunities at community programs office to support international students population. I would like always tell my friend how like CPO has like food closet or like collective where you can just like chill and then charge your laptop during classes. And then we also have like a lot of different programs. And also at the harvest distribution and the turkey box giveaway, that's the first time I've ever like know like how a Thanksgiving dinner looks like, because I've never like had any like resources to or any like people to surround myself like during Thanksgiving or during Thanksgiving break, because I'm always like I'm here by myself alone in this country. And then like during the distribution, I just see so many like familiar figures, and also I hear Mandarin or Canto because that's like what I speak. And then I also saw someone posting like a little like haul of our turkey box on like a Chinese social media called Red Note. So I think that's pretty fun, and I just feel like this is a really good impact to our international student population and everybody on campus, and more people should know about it, and that's why people should support more about it.
Thank you. Is anyone else here for public comments? Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Julie. I'm a second year mechanical engineering major. I'm also a first generation Vietnamese American. I just wanted to reiterate like how everyone is saying, I'm also here to support the basic and essential needs referendum. I feel like as a first generation, I'm very limited in what resources I have, especially like, luckily I do get a lot of financial aid, but I do have 4 loans out. So like the little things matter, and like being able to like even just, although I am employed with CPO, like being able to like just show up to food closet, line up like every other community member and grab snacks and be here on the go, come in and out, have a safe place to stay. Those are critical things. And one more thing to like emphasize is that it's not just the community programs office. We have many collaborations with other organizations and who are also in support of the referendum. And I hope you guys consider that as well.
Thank you. I believe you had someone, yes.
Hi guys, my name is Melanie. I also work at CPO as the operations lead. I'm a first generation student from Los Angeles, low income, Zapotec. Although many of us and many of my peers have found home at CPO, like Julie just highlighted, a lot of us find home at other basic and essential need like organizations and programs around campus. Another example would be like 580 Cafe. I have like one of my closest friends who works there and also found a mentor there. And the referendum would also support I think like continuing the funding for like staff. There's the Samil initiative, which collaborated with CPO for our produce distributions. this referendum not only supports students on campus, but other UCLA community members that are essential for our life. So I think, like Adrian mentioned, the service workers, other UCLA staff members who rely on our resources. So yeah.
Thank you. I believe we have 4 more public commenters or 8 minutes. Is there anyone in person that would like to give public comment? Yes.
Hello, my name is Alyssa Pamintuan. I am a second year here at UCLA, and I'm also here to support the Basic and Essential Needs referendum. Specifically, I have experience in CPO's Basic and Essential Needs services. I use them from whether it's free printing at their computer lab to studying in their lounge and getting food from their collective, which is an expansion of their food closet. And also as a employee of CPO, I constantly see things from behind the scenes for our basic needs aspects. And whether I'm on and off shift, I constantly see people lining up at our food closet or our collective. People even keep their hours so they can be the first ones to access our spaces because that's how high the demand is. And even at our biggest events like our box giveaways and our grocery bundle distributions, I see the look on people's faces, like they are so relieved to get these resources because they do not expect to get like the generous amount of food or supplies that we give them. And just to see the relief on their faces and the fact that they don't have to worry about food or supplies for the next few days really warms my heart and goes to show how important basic needs is. And I hope you guys consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hello, my name is Amlidos Gramides. I'm a first year at UCLA, and I just wanted to touch upon our turkey box giveaways and our holiday giveaways boxes. So these people that receive these boxes would not have a Thanksgiving dinner if it weren't for our boxes that we provide. And I find that that is something that I am the most proud of for working with CPO because I get to provide and help these people have a normal Thanksgiving or a normal holiday. And I would just like to support the referendum so that we could provide more resources for these people and for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any more public commenters? Yes.
Hi everyone. My name is Thomas Umu. I am a first year neuroscience major here at UCLA. I'm also first generation and low income as well. Like many of my colleagues, I wanted to express my support for the basic and essential needs referendum. It's honestly the CPO services that they provide, they're just so important and vital to the community here at UCLA. And I know from personal experience. Growing up in a single parent household with a mother who has raised 4 kids on her own, I understand, like, I'm gonna be so real with you guys. Even growing up, we used to go to the church and get food, cans, literally whatever we could, because whatever helped. And I think being able to volunteer here at the CPO food closet or even their harvest distributions and their turkey boxes and being at those events and seeing the same look in those kids' eyes that I once had when I was just so grateful, it honestly touches my heart. And I urge the rest of the USAC Council to please also share that vitality, like the knowledge of the vitality of the basic needs and essential program here at CPO. So thank you.
Thank you. I think we have room for one more public commenter. Do we have anyone in person? Do we have anyone online? Please raise your hands if you want to give public comment online. Seeing none, I will close public comment at 7:36 p.m. And we're going to move on to funding, starting with contingency. Lucy? Lucy?
Hi, sorry, my service is a little bit bad, but let me send the contingency allocation in the chat. Okay. This week we had a total contingency programming request of 34,592, and we recommend an allocation of $13,090.33 for 3 USAC entities and 30 non-USAC entities. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Could we motion those? Happy.
I move to approve the recommended contingency programming request for $13,090.33 for 3 USAC entities and 30 non-USAC entities.
I second.
Happy motions, Tameem seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 14-0 vote, that is approved. Next, we have SFS.
Hi. Okay, so this week SFS allocated 18. Oh, this is a big number. Sorry. Wait. Yes, that's correct though. Okay, I'm sorry. Whoa. Is that? Wait, can we come back to me just so I can check the number real quick?
Yes,
Okay,
Kiara, SWC.
Hi, everyone. For this week, for the Student Wellness Commission Programming Fund, we recommend a total of 4 allocations totaling $2,056, with one of the allocations toward a USAC entity, and then other 3 are to non-USAC entities.
Is there any opposition to passing those allocations? Seeing none, we're going to move on to ASRF and Travel Grad Mini Fund with Espino.
Thanks, Adam. The Academic Affairs Commission recommends an allocation for travel grant mini fund of $2,260 with 6 cents to 6 non-USAC entities. And we recommend an allocation for the Academic Success Referendum Fund of $1,564 with 75 cents to 3 non-USAC entities.
Thank you. Is there any opposition to those allocations? Seeing none, can we get the brewing card and laundry grant funds, please?
Yes. For the laundry fund, we recommend $35 to 7 individuals. And then for the Bruin Card Fund, we recommend an allocation of $30 to 3 individuals.
Thank you. Is there any opposition to those allocations? Seeing none, Carolyn, do you have the numbers?
No. Wait.
We can go back at that.
Yeah,
It's
go
fine.
back at then. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to special presentations. We have Habi with USCA Legislative Conference.
Hello, everyone. I'm gonna migrate real quick just so I can get a better look at the screen, but do we have the screen share ready? Oh, beautiful. Okay. All right. So this is going to be a follow-up to a legislative conference that was held in Washington, D.C. over spring break that I promised to give last week. So if we could just get the full screen, please, if possible. Or can we get in like slideshow format? Oh. Technical difficulties. Sorry, y'all. Beautiful. Okay, so because this is a last minute presentation and I want to make sure everyone kind of like has transparency, next slide, include a tiny URL and QR code if you all want to follow along. This presentation does have notes as well, just because I want to keep it as brief as possible. Next slide. Okay, so basic overview. This presentation will be going over an introduction of what the USSA is, highlights from the conference, from programming to legislative meetings to other various shenanigans, and then next steps for what the association is looking for. Next slide. Okay, so our introduction, what is USSA? So the United States Students Association, otherwise known as USSA, is essentially the national version of the UC Students Association, which for everyone who doesn't know is essentially a student coalition of all 9 undergraduate UC campuses. So sort of comes together to advocate for the collective needs of almost 300,000 undergraduate students. USSA is essentially the buffed up version of that. And this spring break and everything, we reconvened for the first time in, I don't know how many years, but it's been a little bit over a decade since the association has sort of come together as a group. And we came with around 20 different member states, including multiple different HBCUs, UCs, California State universities, and other collegiate like organizations, systems, and whatnot from across the country. And so we met in Washington, D.C. to discuss a variety of different student issues, especially pertaining to the current actions of the federal government. Next slide. Okay, so I care. So these are the USSA's current like federal slash legislative slash student priorities that they wish to be focusing on. Notably, current focus around protecting the Department of Education and the programs that it hosts and helps cater to a variety of students, including underrepresented students. So resources and protections for various student groups, including students with disabilities, Title I funding for K through 12 schools, EOP, TRIO, and Head Start programs, something I personally have a very deep connection to, Title IX services and anti-discrimination policies that are currently at threat. Also, the providing of federal financial aid and the Pell Grant, kind of looped in with the years-long struggle to double the Pell because, financial aid has just not been keeping up with the insanely high, like, cost of living, something that was really touched on by various people who gave public comment today on the BN referendum. And then also income-driven repayment for loan borrowers. Again, like, pretty sure if I ask the room how many of us have student loans, if y'all are comfortable, raise your hand real quick. Okay, okay. Yeah, I hate student loans. But essentially these income-driven repayment plans would take in mind like what your income is and basically adjust like what your repayment has to look like so that you're essentially not crippled by like repayments and everything because those can like ruin your life. And I know I am personally not in a rush to graduate because I am not trying to pay back my student loans. Yeah, and then other priorities include student freedom of speech. Again, especially with everything that's been developing in the past like week alone, given the situation with visa revocations, the UC not taking a stance to protect its students, as well as, seemingly that our state legislators are also like not taking a stance in concerns of jeopardizing funding or allegedly for the safety of certain underrepresented communities that have already been historically targeted. This is especially an issue that UCLA students were able to speak a lot towards that they'll be going over a bit later. And then also helping take a diverse set of issues that we face as California students and as UC students to the national stage. So yeah, next slide. Okay, conference happenings. Okay, so California delegation. We were able to bring students from 5 different campuses and student groups to the legislative conference, notably 6 UCSD students, 4 students from UCLA, 17 from UC Santa Cruz, 3 students from the California State Student Association, and also the UC Students Association's like student exec team and government relations pro staff to help start these conversations about rebuilding the National Association. Next slide. Okay, and then the next couple pictures are just a variety of different like shots from our meetings with like lobbyists and legislators from our state. So notably, we met with our 2 state senators, Alex Padilla and Adam Schiff, as well as Representative Ted Lieu, which if y'all are kind of like tapped into that and everything, Ted Lieu has purposely been avoiding UCLA for the past 3 years, even though he's our representative and his office is literally a mile away in Sawtell. He's never there. He refuses to meet with students, and especially with the press that UCLA has been getting recently in regards to student protests, police brutality and whatnot, he has made even less of an effort to meet with students. I know personally through some friends who intern at his office that he will, or like his staff will actively respond at lightning speed to things like intern emails. But the second that those same students email them from a student organization being like, hey, our students are interested in meeting with the congressman to talk about, XYZ priorities, they'll like act like it never happened. Meanwhile, they're like a cubicle away from them in the office, which is embarrassing as I'm not gonna curse. But yeah, I actively really hate Ted Lieu. Next steps, beautiful. Okay. The forming of the interim governance council. This is essentially like a council that is set to run the association while like a constitution and a charter is being like ratified to help bring the association back on its feet and everything. UCSA is currently in the process of filling in its 3 allowable seats on the conference through nominations right now. So I believe nominations are still open for that. Next slide. The continuing of coalition building and reestablishment of USSA as a national organization. So like I mentioned, a lot of the campuses and student representatives that were there were from a variety of like different university systems, notably like a bunch of like historically Black colleges and universities or HBCUs. And also like a lot of different like nonprofits slash like activism organizations like the ACLU and the NAACP. So really just being able to bring those groups together and like have this conference as sort of like an introduction to, you know, all the work that we do individually in our respective organizations or on our respective campuses, and how we could sort of, you know, bring together our joint struggle to, you know, make a better world for students and people alike. Next slide. Okay, these next two ones are more like observations that we made. Developing organizing strategies that aren't so reliant on the federal government, while it is important that we stay civically engaged and, you know, like talk to our representatives or talk to our senators, like I mentioned before, these people would like make active efforts to avoid their constituents, especially students, the second that they have any sort of dissenting opinion. And as we're currently seeing with how the government is operating now, they care a lot more about their donors than they do like any of us. So really just, you know, starting those conversations within these spaces on, you know, recognizing the importance of staying civically engaged, but also recognizing that there is a need and a value in community building, and, you know, on the ground organizations and coalition groups that do the work that they're doing right now, like we're currently seeing in various parts of UCLA in response to attacks to, for example, undocumented international student communities. Next slide. I believe this is the last one. Establishing commitment to intersectionality and outspokenness for the communities that seeks to serve. Again, while it was great that we had a bunch of diverse student groups and diverse student identities like at this conference, it's also worth noting that a lot of the conversations that were had were very surface level about like, oh, hey, here's an introduction to like financial aid inequities, which, you know, great and everything. Not everyone is at the same level of knowledge, but, you know, if we're going to say that we're serving the collective student voice of the entirety of the United States, you know, there needs to be like more discussions on like how that advocacy needs to evolve to include like specifically like the different talks of, you know, various identities that fall under these issue topics and whatnot. I think also just, sorry, I had a point in my head. Yeah, just focusing on that, and then especially with the current agenda to sort of abolish things like DEI programs and whatnot, I think it's also just explicitly important to like not let those conversations die out, and that starts within student groups and organizations like USSA. But for now, that's kind of it and everything. Does anyone have any questions? Just want to make that as quick as possible, but also like, yeah.
Does anyone have any questions for Javi? Thank you, Javi. Appreciate
Beautiful.
it. We're gonna move on to officer reports. Given we have a longer meeting today, we're only gonna do the exec 3 plus AAC, and my report will be written. Josh.
Hi, I just have one thing to share. IVP just put out a graphic advertising the open position for the ACCA Board of Directors. Applications are due on April 14th. So if you all could circulate that graphic around, that'd be greatly appreciated. And then everything else for me will be written today.
Javi.
Sorry, y'all, my laptop is bugging. Let me go. Okay, so main announcements I'm gonna be focusing on. The annual UCSA Transfer Student Advocacy Day is gonna be happening in early May. Working with TSR Mona right now to put out applications by this Thursday. We have a lot of transfer students here, and we're definitely gonna be reaching out to y'all's respective student organizations, groups via social media on how y'all can apply, participate, and also like what types of student issues we're kind of looking to platform. So look out for that. There is also, again, announcing this, a mass mobilization by the African Black Coalition that's going to be happening on Tuesday, April 22nd in Sacramento in support of Assembly Bill 7, written by Isaac Bryan, one of our state assembly members, that would essentially give preferential admissions to descendants of slavery. And then just some things I would like to highlight. The second annual Latino Lobby Day was had this past week. I want to thank GR1 Diego for his help in coordinating our delegation for that and everything. Also, just tangentially, there was also a final quarterly meeting with outgoing UC President Michael Drake, everyone's favorite bald-headed man. There was a focus on opposing the termination of various DEI initiatives, the current hiring freeze that's going on right now, and threats to current programs, including student-led programs at the campuses. There also was opposing attempts to blatantly inhibit student advocacy on a race-based basis and everything. We were essentially told that having something like a Black Student Lobby Day was offensive because it could be considered racially like exclusionary. And they brought up the example of what if we had a white student lobby day? And I'm like, well, that's kind of what lobbying is essentially, bunch of white people. Anyways, also ensuring a proper transition of power to the next UC president that helps protect students in the face of punitive measures against protesters at institutions like Columbia. Really just focusing on the fact that the UC has made no explicit statements saying that they're going to be defending students and their right to protest or their right to free speech whatsoever. And then last but not least, transparency and increased levels of student engagement for things like the allocation of what's known as SAPEP funding, which for those of you who don't know is essentially like funding that goes to programs like, I'll use the example of like SHAPE from the African Student Union, essentially access and retention programs for underrepresented student populations. The conversations around that is set to open at the campuses next year. And this has been an ongoing conversation for the past 2 years of like how we can build student engagement with that. Again, like a lot of us come from various underrepresented student communities. And so it's increasingly important that we're actually in the room and when the university is deciding like how much funding certain programs are going to be getting to help support, students in higher education, bolstering retention rates. If the UC claims to care about things like diversity at our campuses, they should at least, be allowing the diverse body of students to be commenting on their actions. And then I believe last but not least, just continuing ongoing discussions with a variety of different USAC officers in regards to the current situation with student visas being revoked. Also just the, again, lack of any sort of like concrete, action from the university to defend its students. Sort of trying to figure out what we can do there. I know at least for my office, we're coordinating with the UC Students Association and the other EVP offices across the state to basically sort of pull together our resources, sort of figure out, who in the chain of command we need to be targeting when we have these discussions around like who is allowing for this data to be, leaked to the federal government. But also sort of like pivoting to on the ground work with various community organizations. Notably right now we're working with Faculty for Justice in Palestine, UAW 4811, Rank and File, and other like local orgs to sort of like bring together resources for students to know, because right now, again, the university is offering resources that are historically very underfunded, have the potential to be defunded in the current political landscape. And so there just needs to be more to sort of defend our student populations. And I'll leave the rest of my report written, and thank you.
Espino.
Thanks.
Sorry. The only thing I'll mention, and then I'll keep the rest written, is a few weeks ago, my office collaborated with LULAC to host a Know Your Rights sort of passive event in which we handed out goodie bags with Know Your Right cards that were donated by the California State LULAC Foundation, and we still have a lot left. So if you have any friends who would love a baggie, please send them my way, room 310 in Kirkhoff, okay? That's it.
Orlando.
Hello, everyone. Just one quick update. Tomorrow and on Thursday is our one-stop event. It's a series of workshops. Tomorrow will be in person. It's only new circulatory workshop, but our online workshops on the 10th will, in addition to the new signatory workshops, will include youth safety training, campus assault resource and education care workshop, and funding 101 for any of the last minute groups who are interested in applying for last minute funding. There are still funds available, and this workshop will we'll talk about it. I will drop the link in the chat. So if you have any questions, just forward it my way. That's all I have. Thanks.
Jessica.
Just a couple quick things from me today. First, just a friendly reminder with the BOD appointment and vacancy. It's a great opportunity to get transfer students involved and serving on the board, because it will be just filling the remaining year of a 2-year term. So just wanted to make sure that that was clear, and super critical that they're available to attend the BOD retreat for onboarding. So if you all need those dates, I'm happy to help provide them. Aside from that, I know you all are anxiously awaiting carryover updates. We are still working on it and working through it with Beverly. So hopefully I will have more updates shortly on that. And then I also wanted to share that we
recently put out signage for our Art in the Union program. So this year's theme is technology. So any students are welcome to submit any artwork, but with an emphasis on technology being the inspiration. And some of the selected winners of Art in the Union will be featured in our computer store downstairs on B level in the UCLA store. So it's a great opportunity again for students to get involved, share their artwork, and then the winners receive $600 payment for their art piece to then be displayed in the student union. So please share with everybody. The signage is out, but I'll also make sure I get the QR and link from Mary to send around to you all via email. This way, if you have any students interested, you can pass it on. Thanks.
Lori?
All that to say, I have, oh, yes. One thing, Kiara, I'm sorry, I'm working on your cost estimate for the IM field. I'll have it tomorrow. That's it.
Jonathan?
Well, excuse me. Hey, hi, hello. Just a couple things from me. OSAC people, please respond to Emily. We have some action items in regard to the Kirkhoff elevator renovation that's going to be happening this summer. So we do need to meet sooner rather than later. If you have not signed up for your SGS one-on-one, it is your last one of the year. Our Calendlies are in the Slack, and we look forward to chatting. Additionally, Lorelai sent out transition doc info. Those are coming due in a couple weeks here towards the end of the month. So now that you all are on your way out, please help us transition your next people, whoever gets to replace you. I know that there are a couple people in this room that are running for their same position unopposed. You still need to submit a transition document. Yeah, I know that's not what you wanted to hear, but and Lorelai has also sent out our quarterly or quarter-ish, annual-ish advisor feedback. We would love to hear how we can support you better, how we can support the next group of folks better, and overall just be better. So please take the time to fill that out. And then last but certainly not least, SGS is hiring. Yay. No one? Okay. The vast majority of our student staff are graduating this year. So we are hiring for 2 students to be regular student government services staff. And then we are hiring 1 student as the student union admin, which works more so with Pamela, but also is under us as SGS. So those are all posted on the ASUCLA website right now. If you know someone that is interested, please send them our way. We'll be reaching out soon with interviews and things like that. Otherwise, have a good week.
Thank you, Jonathan. We're just going to move on. We're going to move on to new business, starting with Tamim's resolution, urging the Academic Senate to provide hybrid options for international and undocumented students. Tamim, feel free to read through it or summarize it.
So this was supposed to be a resolution before the activities of last week, before we knew any cases of visa revocations, but I'm going to read through it. A resolution urging the Academic Senate to provide hybrid learning options for vulnerable student population, whereas students at UCLA who are non-citizens, including undocumented and international students on valid visas, are currently facing a climate of increasing stress, anxiety, and uncertainty due to changes in immigration enforcement and shifting national policies. Whereas on January 21st, 2025, the administration removed a policy barring immigration-related arrests in sensitive areas, including schools, exacerbating safety concerns for undocumented and international students in universities. Whereas in the past week alone, there have been 16 confirmed cases of visa revocations amongst international students at UCLA, underscoring the immediacy and severity of the threats faced by the vulnerable population. And whereas this atmosphere creates conditions that make in-person attendance feel unsafe or impractical for many non-citizen students, ultimately putting their academic success, mental well-being, and sense of belonging at risk. And whereas compelling students to disclose their immigration or visa status to request classroom accommodations may place them in vulnerable or stigmatized position, thereby deterring them from seeking necessary support. And whereas the UCLA undergraduate distance education policy section B3 clearly states that instructors do not need approved for distance status to give online access, example, simultaneous broadcasting of a lecture via video conference, making recorded lectures available for asynchronous viewing, etc., to students who are enrolled in an in-person course but may not be physically present due to illness or other reasons. And whereas this existing policy provides faculty with the flexibility to support students through hybrid options without additional approvals, particularly when such support is vital for student safety and continuing in learning. And whereas institutional guidance encouraging the use of such flexible learning options, especially in times of increased anxiety, would offer much needed clarity and reassurance for both students and instructors. And whereas a proactive rather than a reactive approach is essential to ensuring that all students have timely access to academic accommodations that uphold their dignity, privacy, and right to education. This one was obviously before the fact that we knew that the visa revocations have happened. Whereas fostering such inclusive practices aligns with UCLA's value of access, equity, and student-centered pedagogy and reflects a broader commitment to meeting students where they are, especially those impacted by national shifts beyond their control. Therefore, let it be resolved that the Undergraduate Students Association Council, USAC, urges the UCLA Academic Senate to issue timely guidance to faculty affirming that under current UCLA policy, they may provide hybrid access, including synchronous and asynchronous modalities for students who may be unable to attend in person due to immigration-related concerns or safety issues. And let it be further resolved that the Academic Senate partner with student leaders, faculty, and administrators to ensure that hybrid access can be offered discreetly without requiring students to disclose sensitive personal information. And let it be finally resolved that USAC calls on UCLA to take a leadership role in advancing equitable academic practices by establishing long-term mechanisms that support learning continuity for all students affected by global, national, or legal uncertainties.
Thank you, Tamim. Does anyone have any questions? One request, could we update the third whereas to include the accurate number?
It is 16. It was confirmed today at 6:40 p.m.
This is at UCLA?
Yes.
Okay, I was under the impression it was written before and it
No,
was, okay, that sounds good.
Wait,
Have you?
actually, in that case, can we like just update the language so it includes at UCLA?
Yeah, I was confused. I thought it was all schools and this was old. If there's nothing else, can we get a motion? Bueno,
I move to pass the resolution urging the Academic Senate to provide hybrid learning options for vulnerable student populations.
I second that motion.
Mono motions, Espino seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, please raise your hands. And all abstaining, please raise your hands. With a 14-0 vote, that is approved. We're going to move on to Tommy's bylaw change. Tommy, feel free to just explain. I think it's just a clerical thing. Microphone, please.
Bad. So basically this bylaw change is just adjusting the constitutional projects under CSC. So we removed the old list and updated it to reflect the new list. And yeah.
Jonathan, just question about CRC. That can be bypassed, right? Okay. Does anyone have? Oh, Caroline, go ahead.
No, you're good. Just wanted to, thank you, Tommy, for creating this. But yeah, this is just like the list of all of our CSC projects. It hasn't been updated for a hot sec, so there are a few changes. And yeah, at the bottom, you can see Bernardine has been added as they'll be joining us hopefully when the referendum passes. But if not, we'll like reassess. But this is like the current list as of now. And if you have questions, let me know.
Any questions? Seeing none, can we get a motion? Bueno.
I move to pass Article 3 bylaw change.
Second.
Mono motions, Robbie seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, all abstaining. With a 14-0 vote, that is approved. We are now going to move on to the basic essential needs referendum. I believe we have someone that's presenting on this, Josh.
Yes, are they in the audience?
Yes. Can we get the microphone back wherever it went? Thank you, Orlando. Are you on the Zoom? What's your name? Evelyn? Josh, could you provide Evelyn with screen sharing access?
Yes, give me 1 second.
No worries.
Evelyn, I asked you to join as a panelist. Yeah. Great.
Are we planning on going through all 21 pages? Okay, sounds good.
Evelyn, you should be able to screen share now.
Sorry. Hi everyone, my name is Yvonne Nightingale Smith, but others call me Voni. I just want to start off with our introduction. Unfortunately, our main campaign or referendum representative Jane Okendo had other commitments with the Student Alumni Association, conflicting time meetings. I did want to take the time and say thank you all for giving us this time and this platform during the USAC meeting. I know it was a tight turnaround, so I really appreciate that you're able to put this on the agenda. We did have some confusion with the referendum and the right steps needed to be taken. So I also did want to express our gratitude to ASU-CLA and Seoul for allowing us to still be part of this and helping us move the referendum forward. I also did want to preface before we get into our presentation that Assistant Vice Chancellor Mick DeLuca has reviewed our final draft and is in support. He has not identified any issues, and we're currently awaiting approval from Chancellor Frank. He has been informed by Vice Chancellor Monroe Gordon about our referendum, and Vice Chancellor Monroe Gordon also saw no issues. Our referendum has also already been sent to UCOP for review. But we want to thank you all for your collaboration and transparency through this process. It means a lot to us, and we especially want to acknowledge how much leadership USAC has shown this year. We know it's difficult to coordinate large-scale efforts like this, so we're grateful for our continued commitment to student-centered decision-making. Getting into our presentation for the Basic and Essential Needs Referendum of 2025. I wanted to highlight that we're strengthening student support at UCLA. This is a product of a lot of student organization, advocacy, and research and collaboration, especially with departments like the 580 Cafe, UCLA Recreation, UCLA's Teaching Kitchen, Live Well, UCLA's CalFresh Initiative, the Community Programs Office, and also the UCLA DASHU Center. So again, just wanted to thank you for your time here, and then I'm going to pass it on to Bella.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're having a good night so far. So I'm going to talk about the purpose of our referendum. So this referendum addresses the rising, having a bad day. I am so sorry, y'all. I am running on low sleep. I apologize for that. So this referendum addresses the rising number of students facing basic and essential needs insecurity, challenges that affect their academic success, well-being, and just student retention overall. It reinforces essential programs like the food closet and our commuter van service, which is currently just stretched thin because of the increase of demand. It allows us to expand critical resources students are asking for, like our CalFresh alternatives, childcare support, and culturally relevant wellness programs. And most importantly, this funding supplements existing state and UC funding. It doesn't replace it. Instead, it just helps us fill the gaps and just lay foundations for long-term stability. I'm sorry, I'm a little all over the place today, but it kind of means a lot to me, even though it doesn't sound like it, because I'm stumbling through this entire presentation. I apologize for that again. But I personally drive students home with our commuter van service. I'm going as far as Buena Park. So this means a lot to me because I see the struggles they go through. I've made friends with this program. They wake up at 4 in the morning just to come to an 8 a.m. class, and they can't stay late. They can't go to their meetings that are like 8 p.m. because they're commuters and they have morning classes. So this actually means a lot to me. And if you guys are free, I would love if you came on one of my trips, just like, no, my friend calls it the party bus, not gonna lie. So just like listen to great music and travel across LA. I'm originally from San Diego, so this has also helped me just explore different parts of LA in general.
So for our ballot proposal, we're proposing $25 per quarter, which includes summer. This also takes into account the 25% return to aid for financial aid students. And this is also taking into account the annual inflation adjustment based on LA rates every year. And then should this referendum pass at the elections this year, then this will take place in or effective fall of 2025.
Yeah, so here are some of the programs and services that the funding from this referendum will go help support. Just to list it very quickly, 580 Cafe will be one of the services supported, CPO Food and Closet and Basic and Essential Needs Collective. We have our commuter ride service along with a potential parking grant if this is passed. Club and intramural sports access grants, more as like a framed as like an accessible to health and holistic wellness for low income students, student scholarships and teaching kitchen workshops, along with jobs as well that would help fund and service these resources on campus.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'll be talking about the investment aspect of this referendum. So this investment delivers real lasting impact on this campus. Thousands of students rely on these programs and services every year. It will provide student jobs that provide not only income, but leadership opportunities in advocacy and community service. It will create a more equitable and stable UCLA experience. It would also promote academic success because, as we know, when basic needs are met, that's the only way that people can actually focus on school. And that's how we get students to stay at UCLA, graduate from UCLA, and thrive once they leave UCLA. And this, just to basically summarize this slide, this referendum is not to simply just maintain what we have, it's to expand on the services that we have. So for example, I utilized our commuter van service the entirety of my second year. And now being on the other side, it's more of like me paying it forward to those who were in my shoes. And it's kind of disheartening to learn how those demands can't be met due to funding issues. So.
I like to start off by saying that UCLA has long led a way to student basic needs, and starting off with their predecessors who have also contributed with these initiatives, such as our first UC food pantry, which is a CPO food closet. It is known as the first food pantry installed in the UC system, and through our model, other campuses have grown inspired and made their own nationwide. And the CPO food closet, I have been here. I came into UCLA as a standard freshman, as a standard student, and I was fortunate enough to know about this resource, and I used the food closet since I was a freshman. And so far, I've grown to love that area of basic needs. I know how many students use this resource every day, and it's very difficult to see that our demand is growing higher, but we can't sustain the demand with the supplies that we have. It's truly not possible. And we try to build these programs as a way to reduce the stigma of food insecurity, because I, for one, know that like growing up, our family was highly stigmatized for even considering about EBTs, anything related to going to food pantries. And it's just something students who should be focusing on their academics should not be worried about.
Please allow me to say thank you again for all of your leadership and everything. This is a very passionate topic for all of us, but I'm sure that passion is shared amongst us as well. So really thank you for your leadership as USAC and just allowing us the opportunity to say something. But a little bit about the history of basic needs at UCLA, encompassing the entirety of UCLA. Between the time periods of 2000 to 2009, the CPO has created the study hall, which provides a space for students to be able to study after hours of normal operations, a safe space to study too. And then we have our computer lab, which if you guys have utilized is 100 pages for free per quarter. I personally use that a lot. The CPO food closet, it's anonymous, it's restocked every hour, and it's completely free. 580 Cafe providing free meals for students, for Bruins, for UNDOC, for incarcerated students, and even international students as well. Commuter van service, as my peers have said, is a very vital resource, as well as fitted wellness, just providing basically education for healthy eating habits to be able to pursue our education and our daily needs. Yes, next slide, please. And then a little bit more about basic needs at UCLA. We have financial wellness, which is able to educate students like me who know nothing about financial literacy. I spent so much on Amazon my first year, guys, like it's crazy. But then we also have programs like CalFresh, helping students find ways to be able to provide for their funding for meals, even without traditional CalFresh, like meeting the requirements and things like that. And then our food box programs as well, which we provide during every like break season, winter, things or like in the fall. Sorry. And then the Little Bruin Clubhouse, that's basically a space for students with dependents to be able to have resources and everything that they need, or may need. And then the Teaching Kitchen also provides educational recipes that utilizes accessible foods, even from our own food pantry. And we're trying to work in collaboration to provide extra resources to be able to make like canned products that are sustainable for UCLA students made here in-house at UCLA. So yeah, thank you.
A lot of information thrown at y'all. I know that. Thank you for sticking with us. I just want to go more and end it off with the rest of the history of the basic needs at UCLA. Since 2021 and to this present day, the Basic and Essential Needs Collective, the refrigerated lockers and harvest distribution was created. Are y'all all aware, besides everyone from CVO, has everyone like utilized this space? Yeah. So this will be like a very fresh reminder of what it is. So the Basic and Essential Needs Collective is an expansion of the food closet, and it also uses the same system of anonymous usage. So you're not carded, you're not asked like what you're doing in there, anyone is welcome in that space. It is also a space where students can lounge and use it as a study area. We have free microwave and oven, utilities, kitchenware, anything that you can use in there. Like Ethan said, or like my colleague said, we also open up to the computer lab services where you're getting like free pages of printing, which I know is all students that comes in clutch heavily. And so just to branch off of what the collective is, we also have the locker spaces where people can store their belongings. We implemented the new refrigerated lockers this academic year where you can store your food and medication or just anything that needs to be refrigerated in a secure space. Lastly, we have the harvest distribution where we are able to provide students with fruits and vegetables. This is not limited to, but it targets students with dependents and also students who are not able to access the dining halls. And this was also a quick response to the recent Los Angeles fires that happened not too long ago, and it helped provide fresh or just produce to students who are affected.
I think I'll be honest. I think it's safe to say that we're at a breaking point with basic needs on this campus. About half of UCLA undergraduate students face food insecurity, and 1 out of 4 Bruins face issues with housing or housing insecure. I could speak from personal, experience that this past summer was a rough one for me. I was going my paychecks towards the rent, and I didn't really have enough fully for full meals. So I think it's relatable myself as a student, but also as a student who helps others as well. Because of inflation, because of rising costs of groceries, and say what you say, but those eggs are really expensive. But all in all, I think that if we stand here and do nothing and continue with the resources that we already have on campus, we're having a wall between students and their survival. It's either students, you know, eat or they go to school, or they'll pay rent instead of being in class. They have all these issues that they're worried about instead of being focused on their academics. And I don't think that that's fair at all in the slightest. There's a lot of students that are on the street sleeping in their cars, with issues with commuting, long hours back to home, or even issues with like housing. So if this referendum passes, I think it would be a really great resource to all of these students and a lot of us in this room as well. So.
So let's get into the economic state of the country. We're facing a lot of economic pressures. I'm sure you all know as well. Y'all deal with funding and allocations. So since 2020, since the pandemic, we've seen an increase 35% with rent, increased 27% with grocery prices, and increased 45% with utility costs. Truly, as a low-income student, I could not imagine how anyone could afford a cost of living without basic and essential needs nowadays. We've seen cuts to CalFresh and food banks. For example, our very own food closet, the CPO food closet, we cannot afford the same resources that we used to. Like the dollar can't afford what it used to. So we may still get the same funding, but it does not stretch the same. And especially with the increasing demand, we cannot feed all the students that need the food closet, but we should be feeding them. And it should be a priority to allocate more funding towards this because, again, money is not stretching the same, and there needs to be an increase to basic and essential needs.
Honestly, for the risk of inaction, not passing this referendum, holds a lot of weight, and it's one of our whys for running this referendum in the first place. Like, there's so many risks to the basic and essential needs services that we have on campus, that it's really important that we are able to sustain and able to expand the programs that we have. Risk of inaction, essential programs will stall or shrink. Programs like the commuter van service, like Teaching Kitchen, they won't have the funding necessary to sustain them in the future. And it's gonna have a really significant impact on our students, causing student burnout. Dropouts rates might rise as well. If students' basic needs aren't met, then how can we expect them to continue on in their academics if they're focusing constantly on like how much they need to pay for rent, how they're gonna get home tonight, where they're gonna sleep tonight, what are they gonna eat tonight? And especially with our students that come from non-traditional routes, our transfer students, our international students, our students that have dependents on them, like how can we expect them to just keep going if we don't have services like this to sustain them here and the retention at UCLA? And even new services like CalFresh alternatives, commuter grants, childcare support, these won't launch with the current climate that we're in, especially with, like Evelyn mentioned, the political state of our economy right now. Our inflation is rising. Everything is significantly more expensive, especially gas, grocery supplements like eggs. Like, how can we expect students to pay for that and still continue on at UCLA? I think it's especially important to highlight that this referendum is for all students. All students in some way need to be met with their basic and essential needs here at UCLA. I think right now we have a lot of services that are not publicized enough. And why does it have to get to the point of this where we're constantly asking for more services, and we don't have anything to fund it? I think that's why this referendum is especially important for me. Coming to UCLA as a Pacific Honors student, we don't have a lot of Pacific Honors here at UCLA, but I was able to connect with them here. And just being able to, I I'm not funded by my parents. Like I had to pay for things on my own. I'm currently living in apartments. I pay for my own groceries, but being able to have services like the grocery bundles are significantly important for me because I'm not trying to pay so much money for groceries or like produce. I'm gonna go for the easier stuff like ramen, like Vienna sausages, like things that I grew up with, like corned beef, like all that stuff. Like I can now have healthy alternatives through these services, and be able to live a healthier and sustaining life.
All right, so you're probably wondering, where is this referendum going? These are our funding priorities. So the first one is the turkey and holiday food box programs, where students in the UCLA community is provided with 1,000+ boxes. And this is a high demand, especially because we don't only service students through this program. There is also the expansion for the food closet and the food cart programs, and the accessibility for food items. Additionally, we're trying to open more student opportunities for jobs and the CalFresh alternative grants, which falls through, like the 580 Cafe, Teaching Kitchen, Dash U Center, stuff like that. Additionally, the sports or the infrastructure upgrades, along with sports and parking grants, which will enable more students to have accessibility to, the same things that normal students who are not, financially insecure, the same ability that they're able to have fun on this campus. I also wanted to just close out. I'm just like very overwhelmed just thinking about my own personal experiences. So I'm sorry for stumbling on the past few sentences. I come from a very low income background. Sorry. I've been homeless throughout throughout majority of my life. Sorry, I don't know why I'm getting so emotional. Y'all don't care. I just wanted to share my experience because I don't want students who are in similar situations or on the way to similar situations to get to that point. You know what I mean? I've been food insecure, housing insecure, all of the above. I've been through in and out of loopholes of departments on UCLA, and I'm telling you, it's not easy. They're like, redirecting me to every single department on campus, and it's tiring. I'm a first-gen student as well, and so it's hard to navigate through that if I don't have any support from back home. A few months or a few weeks before I moved to UCLA officially as a student, my family moved out of state. And so I was never able to go back home. I haven't been able to visit back home. I come from a very religious and conservative family as well. So navigating through that, and UCLA is very open-minded, different, it's like nerve-wracking. I'm still trying to figure all of that out as well. Just being able to find a home away from home at UCLA and specifically at the CPO, it's been very uplifting for my success here. I've struggled a lot through finding out different, funding resources, financial, food support, anything like that. And simple things as like being able to reach out to, like, for example, I was housing insecure the past few months. Like I was able to secure a house or just housing through the CPO, through Mick DeLuca, a big thank you to them as well. And ECRT, like ECRT really helps. I'm really one of the big recipients there. And so just being able to get, 7 swipes for a quarter, the extra swipes that students don't even use or they don't see a value in at the end of the quarter, like it helps people like me. And so going through this whole referendum and making this like, it really touches home because I don't want students who are like me to go through struggles anymore. I know there's that one person who doesn't know where to go, or it's too hard to go to the financial aid office and be redirected to the student accounting office and then redirected to ECRT and then, so on and so forth. That just like I'm getting so nervous because I've never really talked about this. And so this is really a passionate project of mine with my peers and my colleagues. And there's so much that I can go into, but I'm not going to trauma dump on y'all like that. Not today, but we can always meet up and talk about it. But yeah, I just wanted to emphasize like students like me and just my peers are here. It's helping those who are in need. And there's no way of telling who needs more than others. If there's a need, there's a way and we will give it, you know? And so I want to also emphasize on that. So yeah, sorry.
I think some of the services that Mala has mentioned that has benefited her are just a few of them and has even created a big impact on Mala's life, but also other programs that we're trying to support as well, such as Swipe Out Hunger. Swipe Out Hunger is a program that collects all the swipes that students haven't used after the whole quarter, and it has benefited a lot of students, including me. I was one of those students who would donate, and then if anything, I would see other people who would appreciate like the swipes that they're now able to use because of previous students who have donated them. And it's just some of these programs who are not really heard of from other students who are also facing difficulties with food insecurity and housing. Like these are the services that should be announced, that should be publicized. And it's just through this referendum, like we're trying to keep that legacy of helping students just be students again, not worrying about anything outside of school. Like that should be a priority.
Okay, we can go to that last slide. Basically, kind of just to close us out, you know, we've talked throughout this entire night, kind of the needs that our students need here on campus, the gaps that kind of need to be bridged throughout. You know, there are services that are already on campus that are providing great support towards our students, but the reality is that these services need to be supported. These services need to be funded, and you know, reallocations need to be made to ensure that our students' well-being is being put first. You know, we want to bridge these gaps, but also to just strengthen and ensure that our students are being successful, that they have to worry about their academics and nothing else. You know, basic and essential needs here at UCLA is already a big initiative, but it can be bigger and better with your support. It's something that we need to sustain here. Basic and essential needs shouldn't be a worry or a doubt that students have to figure out, but it's something that they should have the right to access. So we're asking all of you tonight, you know, just to vote yes and support us in our initiative and the coalition that we've brought forth to you. It's a referendum that doesn't just honor our services, but it honors the rest of our campus and the departments that are here to sustain our students' well-being and their success here at UCLA.
And then with that, again, just kind of going back to what Dulce is saying, we just wanted to thank Swipe Out Hunger for all of the work that they do, and also how they have been assisting CalFresh and everything, and also how our referendum will be assisting all of these resources. But I did want to kind of give a little bit of background on kind of all of my peers. I think we're all kind of being modest, and some of them are a little shy, but everyone in this room that you are looking at right now has gone through a lot of things, has experienced exactly what we are trying to advocate for. We're not just here just to pass a referendum. I think this is also a call of action to some of the injustices that need to be fixed on campus. Just the simple fact that students are asking for basic need is also an issue as well. And everyone here has done the job of supporting basic and essential needs. And even all of us in the events that we do, they have lifted boxes to cars. We have talked to staff, talked to students in so many ways that not a lot of people can understand. What we're doing here today is just advocating for you guys to approve this, for the referendum that we're trying to push forward is more so not only helping us, but helping everyone that is on this campus. And for me, like, I'm Black Samoan Chinese from Inglewood. Like, moved house from house, never had a house, apartment from apartment. Was even living in a motel for a little bit. And I'm confident to say that because look where I am now. And I'm speaking my truth because I want this to change. Like everyone else has been saying, all of the resources that we have is so amazing that a lot of other campuses don't get the opportunity to. And what we're doing today is asking that you guys can expand these resources. Our numbers are expanding and we're trying to expand everything else. Everyone in this room, even the people that we asked to be here today, they all have personal stories. And I hope that you guys are taking this not as just a public comment and not as just some kids speaking at a regular USAC meeting. These are students that have experiences and we want to change. And I hope that you guys in leadership positions can help us change.
Yeah, and I also wanted to touch on, like, we all come from various communities, but we didn't talk about specifically international and undocumented students. That's something that we're really passionate about as well. And because it was in our personal experience, it didn't come up. But this is something that we are facing on campus. They don't have access to things like CalFresh. They don't have access to some of the swipes out on campus, like Swipe Out Hunger, or actually, I won't speak on that because I'm not too familiar with it. But they don't have access to a lot of resources that we all get to have. So I think it's important to also highlight them and include them in this referendum. As you all have read through it, we have a lot of line items helping and supporting those marginalized groups as well here on campus. So yeah, I just wanted to like touch on them, that just because we aren't that community doesn't mean we aren't just as passionate for them, because at the end of the day, we're all sharing the same experiences where we're not having our basic needs met.
And again, I know that was long and I do apologize. So this will be the last and we will close it out. But again, students deserve the right for a lot of things. Students deserve the right to work. Students deserve the right to basic and essential needs. That's a basic human right. And I hope that you guys can make this decision, not on what you guys know, but on some of the stories that you guys have heard today and also your personal stories, because we haven't heard y'all stories either. So I hope that you guys can resonate with this. If it's a friend of a friend or you guys have your personal stories, we're just here to help all students that are on this campus and even set an example for other campuses. So thank you guys so much and vote for Ben.
Thank you. If you all could stay up for some questions, we would appreciate it. Do any council members have any questions or comments? No one? Jacob.
Yes. Hi guys. My name is Diego. I currently serve as general representative of one. It's really great to see all of you here today. I think I've like had a few classes with you all in the past, or I'm currently in classes with you all. And I really appreciate your passion for this issue. Jordan mentioned, like you've all mentioned your stories, and I want to share a little bit about mine. I'm also born and raised in Los Angeles. I grew up in Koreatown. I attended LAUSD schools. I actually was enrolled in UCLA because of EAOP, which is based in SAC. And I think a lot of the concerns here, like I think I don't have any specific questions as of right now. Maybe like when you guys start, like I guess like answering. But for me, I think the main issue here is like you all are sharing your own stories and dealing with basic needs and essentials and basic essentials here on campus. And I think for me, it's a lot of these issues are unfortunately, the university is at fault. The UCLA is at fault, the UC Regents is at fault, UC OP is at fault, and even the state is at fault. And unfortunately, right now we are in a budget deficit. And like I don't know like the specifics in what the UC, the UC can do so much more, but just essentially going back to the issues, like housing insecurity is an issue at the UC, food insecurity is an issue at the UC. A few of you came up here and mentioned being undocumented, and I think like the fact that the UC and UCLA did nothing for opportunity for all, did nothing to actually grant undocumented students the opportunity to work at their UCs says a lot about their agenda. And I think it was Jaden had mentioned, like, we really want to see a reallocation. I think unfortunately this is kind of like more of an allocation from the student body rather than having the administration, the UC regents, who are unelected, by the way. They're essentially just political friends from the governor. And rather than giving them real accountability, and so, yeah, those are just my personal views. And I've utilized CPO. I've utilized it because at the end of the day, it's CPO and so many other student organizations and mutual aid, like here at UCLA, that are covering up for those faults and policies from the UC and UCLA. If it weren't for CPO, how many students would go hungry at night? How many students would not be able to get a ride back and forth from UCLA? It's because of CPO and because of student fees that students are getting these services. And for me, it's like, I go to CPO when I unfortunately don't have food in my fridge, when my EBT has run out. I get turkeys because of my inability to work over Thanksgiving break, and I don't get that money from my work study. I rely on this food and I rely on resources from CPO. And it's just like, imagine if in a world where CPO didn't exist and those policy gaps that UC and UCLA had, imagine how many more students would go hungry, would not have those resources. And it's been the work of student leaders like yourselves that have been putting in that effort. And I really wish that we could see that same effort from the UC regions, from these AVCs, from these VCs, from Chancellor Frank. And I think there's literally a picture of Gene Block in the CPO food closet when he came to visit for the first time. And he realized that there are food insecure Bruins, rather than thinking that, oh, if your family's making $80,000, under $80,000, you're going to UCLA for free. That's what he assumed. And that's what he saw. He didn't see the fact that there are Bruins going that are hungry almost like every day. And so I completely understand, and I really thank all of you for coming out here today. And I'm really interested in hearing more about it. But for me, it's just the failures from the UC and the UCLA. And it's been students having to step up, using their labor, using their time, using their passion, using their energy to meet the needs of like all these gaps. And so those are just my thoughts. Those are my initial thoughts. As of right now, you'll see a few more ballots this election season that are in regards to other basic needs and other essential services, like the care office, which treats, I think like Tommy can get into specifics, but like sexual assault resources for all students. And it's unfortunately just because care is going underfunded by the UC. It's these economic like deficits or like supposedly deficits that the UC regions impose on us as students. And if we were to see this, if we were to see, like, I think it's like, I don't know the exact amount of this referendum, if the UC regions and UCLA administration were to see all of this go through, for them, it's just like making their job easier because they don't have to talk to state legislators. They don't have to tell the governor, oh, our students are going hungry, our students are suffering. So for that, it's just something that I have in mind. And so just again, thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to hearing everything else.
May I say a couple words real quick? I'm so sorry. I just wanted to say really thank you for sharing your story and everything like that. I think that that's a very powerful perspective that you have brought on to us. And I think that a lot of my colleagues, as well as you guys, may share similar experiences where the USAC system is not for us, it's against us. And I think it's up to us students, you guys as leadership and everything as well, for us to all work in collaboration with each other, to be able to see us for who we are and not just as a statistic. So really, thank you so much for your comment. It really means a lot to us and the purposes of this referendum. Just us being here in this space with all of you guys, it just means so much to us. So really, thank you.
Thank you, Tommy.
Once again, just want to echo, really appreciate you guys coming here to share this referendum. And I really do think it highlights that there is a critical issue and there are a lot of gaps here. And at the end of the day, CPO is a student-run project. And it, as Diego mentioned, shows the power of student organizing and really emphasizes that we protect each other. It's students protecting students. But then again, as Diego said, this is a burden or a job that should be placed on the UC. They have a responsibility as an institution to step up and provide for their students. Particularly when looking at the numbers for this referendum, it would generate approximately almost $3 million a year. And hearing that big of a figure in my mind raises a bit of concerns given the magnitude of the number. And as you mentioned, the number is that big for long-term stability. And I think that, in my personal opinion, that sort of long-term stability should be placed on UCLA admin, should be placed on the UC, should be placed on UCOP. I personally, in my office, I have seen this need that you guys have also expressed regarding basic needs. We are actually in the same process as you all right now, putting through a basic needs referendum awaiting on UCOP. We chose a number at $4, much smaller, just because we do want to center that this is a UC system issue, a UC admin issue. And we by no means want to be placing further burden on students to be the solution by giving even more money to a system that is clearly not working for them. And like I said, I greatly appreciate the sentiment. And I really, you guys coming out here today shows that when students come together to advocate, we can accomplish amazing things. And I really do want to kind of, even just if any of you want to come talk to me after, or any of us for that matter, of ways which we can engage in actual systemic advocacy to hold the administrators and the system accountable that is supposed to be serving UC students without having students putting their own money to be the solution and funding a system solution. That door is always open. So once again, I thank you all for coming here today. And yeah.
Thank you, Tommy.
I just want to, in response to that, I like with both of y'all, I so agree and I so appreciate that perspective. I think we're looking at it from a different perspective, trying to like do what we can, because we have seen the lack of administrative support. So for now, this is our way of doing what we can. In response to that, I do want to say, like, I think it's the importance of also letting the students vote and see if this is what they want. Just even giving them the opportunity and the chance to even have a vote to see if the referendum is something that they need. And if it doesn't pass on the ballot, well, then that was an indicator that it wasn't the right move. But that's why I want to reiterate, like, let's have the students vote. Let's have the students put in their opinion and their input, because at the end of the day, they're going to be the ones paying the fee. So their individual vote is, to me, like very important as well, because if they're saying, yes, I want to pay this fee, then that's a decision that they made individually, and they're willing to give up $25. And also, I want to mention the return to aid. 25% of it will be going to financial aid. So for example, a lot of us do receive financial aid and get our tuition covered. So I personally get, I don't know what it's called, the zero contribution, family contribution. So yeah, so I get the good financial aid, thankfully, being low income. But what I want to say with that is that this fee won't be coming out of my pocket. It'll be coming out of FAFSA and all that stuff, which I'm so for a referendum like this, because again, I'm not paying for it, but the support will be there. And as for the other students who will be paying it out of pocket, that's for them to decide if they're willing to put in that cost. But yeah.
I also wanted to thank both of you for your point of views. I think I feel more seen, and even though you're not administration, like it still helps me like believe that we're still moving forward. I think just branching off of what my colleague said, just this fee, I feel like it's a response to show administration and the UC system that we can't wait. We can't wait for them to think automatically, like, oh, like we'll allocate you this amount of money. Like the basic need is now. I fear that without this, like there's a lot of students will drop out. I was on the verge of dropping out. Like this, my passion to pass this through, because this will help other students, This will help other students get get things that they need. And it's not only a certain department, it encompasses all the basic needs departments and organizations on campus. And so I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Any council members? Diego.
I'll just say like a little bit before I can pass it on. Like I think I had seen this coming for a while now. I remember a few of you came into actually our office's collaboration, like our event with the HSI and like the HSI town hall, which was back in March or February. I don't remember. But I remember Jaden, you asked a question in regards to like, what is the transparency for federal funding from HSI and the grant and the Department of Education? And I really thank you for that question because that's something that we've had concerns with. And like I know like for a while, like funding has been an issue. And I think, can you remind me your name again?
Moala.
Moala? Yeah. You mentioned like the time to act is now, right? And administration, to show the administration that we won't wait. I think unfortunately, like if students were to allocate this funding themselves, administration wouldn't have any sense of responsibility or accountability just because they'll feel like we've covered a bit of their job and we've made it a bit easier. And I noticed that you mentioned you all mentioned 580 Cafe, and I love the work that 580 Cafe does. I have not been able to get like any refreshers from it just because I know like a lot of it is intended for undocumented students. And I'm really thankful that I'm really grateful on my status. And so, is it Jean, right? From 580? Yeah. Love the work she does. But she's told so many friends of mine that I wish that UCLA picked up the slack instead of like letting the work fall on me. And I think that like if, sorry, I had it up here. Yeah, if UCLA students are utilizing 580 Cafe and other outside resources, I think it should be UCLA and UC that should be providing this funding to 580 Cafe. It unfortunately shouldn't fall on students. And I hear where you guys are coming from. Let's let the students decide. But it just for me, I don't want to see student fees go into a service that students need and students depend on. And unfortunately, like our funding priorities aren't going to it. And I think you have all seen an increased police presence on our campus. UCPD's budget actually increased from last year. And so I don't think that we're not going to see that same trend this year. And it's just seeing that where the priorities are for the UC and UCLA. You see that UCLA is buying up all these purchases and all these properties, yet it's saying that we don't have the funds to support basic needs on our campus. And so for me, that's just an issue.
This is already on. Okay. Thank you for giving your perspective. We really appreciate it. Oh, because I'm not close enough. Thank you. We really do appreciate your opinion and your perspective. We do appreciate it. You saying that we're taking the stress off of admin, yes, but we're also helping our students, which is our main priority. I feel like it shouldn't be, oh, we have to hold them accountable, because yes, they will be held accountable, but at the suffering of our students. And that's not what we're here for. So yes, we may relieve the burden, but they're also going to see that there was a burden to begin with, and they'll see that our students are being helped with this referendum. And just to follow up what everyone has else been saying, like we do appreciate all you guys. But I think my question to you guys, or a rhetorical question, is like, how long will we wait? Kind of like Mwala said, like basic needs cannot wait. Like it's not like we're taking years to advocate. And as much as I love student advocacy, that takes time, and students don't have time. What about the freshmen that are coming in that has no house? Like they don't have any resources. How are we going to support them if we don't have a referendum or resources to support them? And while I understand this is admin's fault, and I think everyone in this room can agree to that, no one is going against that, but our priority should be students. Students should always come first, and then advocacy comes second, in my opinion, because our students cannot go another day with the lights off. They can't go hungry days on end. Like
this is a priority. And while I understand you guys are saying that you personally do not want to put this out there, again, you guys are representing the entire student body. So kind of what Evelyn was saying, let's put this up for the students. The students should be the ones to have that decision to say yes or no to this. We shouldn't be taking that opportunity for them if that's something that they actually do need. Going back to basic and essential need, like there is no waiting and there is no pressing pause. And when it comes to advocacy, we are all advocates in this room. But again, like our students are suffering, and I think that they need a current resolution, and we are proposing to you guys that exact thing. Thank you.
And kind of just to add on to what Jordan said, budgeting cuts are happening, freezes are happening. We don't have time to wait for this. We need to help our students, and kind of like what Jordan said, you guys are USAC, you guys represent all students on campus. You guys are also kind of obligated to help our students.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what our peers say, but also I want to say thank you both for speaking your opinions on this. I completely agree. Like this is something that should be held to admin. But I think what Jordan was saying, our perspective is like, how long do students have to struggle for administration to finally do something? Like this is years and years of advocacy, even just for this referendum. Like this is a lot of like this is a joint collaboration with years and years of like even alumni, our past predecessors were only here for a certain amount of time. And even just now, like students are struggling every single day. How many times do we have to knock on admin's door and say that students are struggling for them to finally like do something and to allocate these funds elsewhere? I think just what Bella was saying, like the time is now. Like we cannot go another day or another year with no advocacy towards this funding, because the reality of it is like these services, these basic and essential needs services all throughout campus that we have now, they're not sustainable with the funding we have now. Like we need to take action now. Otherwise, these services that help millions and thousands of students, they won't exist. They're going to start diminishing. I'm a 30 right now, so I do have another year here, but I'm worried for the future Bruins that are coming, the incoming first years that are coming this weekend for Bruin Day. They're going to see all these resources we have now. They're going to come next year. Where do those resources go? I was so excited to be able to have that support, and that support isn't there. So I think for this referendum, especially, like, really think that we should leave it up for the students. And I encourage you all, like, we may not agree to some certain level, but at the end of the day, we all care for the students here at UCLA, and we all want to see sustainability for the services that we currently have and for expansion of those services. We can do a lot more with the service that we have, and with a referendum like this and also the other referendums that are being run, like we can do so much on campus. And I think just what my peers are saying, the time is now. We can't wait anymore. There's too many students already suffering. Like they shouldn't suffer more.
Also, just to reiterate, thank you for your perspective. I just did want to add like a little closing note for this question. And that food is expensive now. With like politics right now, like food is increasing, like eggs, like they're super expensive. So is milk. Any like basic essential need that you need to like make a quick and easy recipe, it's expensive now. It's not a living cost. Like you can't keep providing for students at this rate, like even for rent. Like I come from Watts, and I come from a low income background, and coming here to Westwood, it's expensive. And it's my last year. So I knew the struggle for the 4 years that I've been here, and I would not want to see another student go through that same thing, which is why, as we've said as a whole collective, that like the time is now. We need like if in an ideal world, like administration would pick up the pace and actually listen to our voices and hear what the students are demanding, yeah, that would be great. But for now, we need to advocate for ourselves. And this is the referendum. The referendum is us advocating for other students to live at just a decent, basic, like have their basic needs met.
Oh, and really quick, the final point to that. Yeah, I hear the conversation about holding administration accountable, but I think this is a further step towards progress. At the end of the day, our advocacy is not ending with this referendum. This is always just the start. Like there's always something to do. There's always something to advocate for and always something to fight for. So at the end of the day, if when hopefully this referendum gets passed, we're going to go to admin and be like, we did our part. Y'all need to pick up your slack as well. Like, we passed a whole referendum. We raised all this money and y'all didn't do anything. So it's time for y'all to pick up your side, your part of uplifting UCLA campus and making sure that our students have the resources they need.
Any other council members? Mona?
I want to start off by saying that I very much appreciate you all sharing your personal experiences and sharing the resources that CPO provides for the UCLA community. I know I've been fortunate enough to be able to use some of them, such as the computer lab, and share those resources with my friends as well. And I think, like you had just said, as we leave this school, we want to leave it a better place for the students that come after us. However, like other people on the council have voiced, and we kind of discussed, I'm concerned that putting the burden of covering the gap in services by UCLA administration on all students financially will only add to the increasing cost of living as a student. And the work that we're all putting in within our respective spaces, whether that's through CPO or USAC, to serve students is something we should strive to continue. But I don't believe that we should be placing the financial burden of funding these services on students through increases in their tuition. And additionally, while I understand the desire to put this referendum on the ballot for students to decide, it's our responsibility as a council to ensure that financial accountability is also addressed among other parts of like reviewing referendums and before reviewing referendums before they go on the ballot. And throughout this entire presentation, I didn't really see that being addressed thoroughly. So I'd like to kind of open the floor to see what you guys have planned to focus on that area as well.
Wait, I think I'm confused. Could I get like the question? Because there was kind of like a lot. Sorry.
Yeah, of course. So to recap, I kind of touched on like my appreciation for the work that you guys are doing and the work that we're all doing in our respective spaces, as well as kind of touching on the concerns that I share with other council members regarding placing financial burdens on students through large increases on student fees. And then I'm also concerned about how financial accountability for the money that would be raised through this referendum would be handled. And so my question is essentially just asking what the plans for financial accountability and transparency are with the money from this referendum and how like exactly it's going to get breakdown.
Yeah, so at the end of our referendum, our proposal, we have outlined the different allocations we have for the different departments and their different usage. So for example, for CalFresh alternative grants, that would specifically be catered to undocumented students and as well as international students who don't qualify for CalFresh. We have 580 Cafe, for example, that's going to be supporting the Bruin meals, and we have that outlined in there as well. For the students with dependents, they have outlined, we have outlined childcare services, specifically what that will be allocated for. So yeah, throughout the referendum, we have outlined that. And then also in regards to accountability, this will be going through process of a student advisory board through CPO. So we will be reviewing that. And then the referendum, whatever we propose will then get finally reviewed by the following, like the campus partners we have. So the Basic Needs Committee is made up of the CPO, we have the Semel HCI Center, we have 580 Cafe, Financial Wellness sitting on the committee, all the partners we had at the beginning of the presentation. So they will also be reviewing their own funds as well and will be part of the conversation when it comes to those funds.
Thank you for your thoughts and perspective. I just wanted to jump in and just say, I kind of respectively disagree that it is a financial burden because majority of the students that will benefit from this referendum will not be paying for it. That goes back to saying like the 25 or 20% that'll be going back to student aid to cover those who are covered with financial aid. And then I just think it's like just going back into thinking of our student fees and everything like that, I want to just open the conversation. Like we should advocate to take off unnecessary things like the universal pass to, I mean, like the universal transportation to go to, yeah, I basically said it. I think like those types of things, like those are financial burdens. Those don't meet any basic needs or anything like that towards students. And so this is not like, this is just my ideas. I'm just like trying to propose what seems like an importance to this campus right now. But yeah.
I just want to add as well. I also respectfully disagree. I think that being able to allocate or being able to finance basic and essential needs for students at UCLA isn't a financial burden. I also think every dollar that would be spent on this referendum goes directly back to students, especially low-income students. I think we named like our main target populations for this referendum being undocumented students, international students, transfer students, as well as students with dependents and our low income students. I think that every dollar goes back to them, especially being able, for example, for sponsoring club sports and intramural grants. A lot of low-income students, they can't participate in these activities because of the financial burden on them. So being able to offset these costs is like ways for them to be a part of the UCLA community more. Even going back to our commuters, as we had mentioned before, our commuters, they often don't get to stay late for these club meetings or even participate in club meetings or have work at night, being able to experience UCLA events at night because of the burden of them having to go home or not having a transportation ride home. A lot of what we're funding as well is for our commuter students and them being able to stay Monday through Friday as late as they want and still be able to have a free ride home. I don't think it's a financial burden at all. I think this is something that it comes back directly to students for students.
And well, really quick, like we did touch on going back to some of it is covered it for financial aid by students who are low income. And I also just want to bring back the idea that these are the students, like we're representative of the students who use these services and we're all advocating for a referendum. We all want to pass it. We all want to pay for it. So I think I understand that y'all are representative of the USAC body and they have to worry about the finances, but looking at this student group, like we are the people that need this referendum. We are representative. Our stories are what dictates like our stories are, we're sharing our stories with y'all to show that the need is here and this is where the need's coming from. And we're here representing the people who would vote for the referendum. So I think it's important not to take that choice away from them because students like us want to vote for something like this.
Sorry to cut you off. You can continue. But we're running out of time. So 20-second responses, please.
Okay, you're good. Just to close it out, we respect all you guys' perspectives, and I hope you guys can also respect where we're coming from as students that are actively in the field, like working for the food closet, working for some of these events and seeing firsthand the effect on these students and also community members in general. Just to close it out, we just hope that you guys won't ever block students for having this option to vote for their own basic and essential needs, or if they would like to pay for their own basic and essential needs. Thank you so much.
Ramsey, last person. Please keep it under 30 seconds.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, CPO, thank you so much for presenting today. So I think about the referendum, I think everything's already been communicated. I just want to say that regardless of the outcome of this vote, my office will be reaching out to you. We certainly want to work on advocacy to try to get administration to be paying for these things. And I know that in our office case, we're working with Stop at Hunger on the ECRT meal program, and we expect to be able to raise an additional 10,000 swipes this year, just like from administration's end as opposed to the student end. And we want to be able to expand that number a lot in the future. I think there are ways to negotiate with administration, talk to administration, and be able to to get them to pay for more things that they're not currently paying for. And so we will work with you on that. Once again, regardless of the outcome of this. So we'll be reaching out soon. Thanks.
Okay, I'd like to wrap us up with a quick summary for myself. I'm going to keep it really, really short. And I think I speak on all of us, on behalf of all of us and a majority of students. I think what the resolution stands for, it's not the resolution, what the referendum stands for is really, really, really important. I'm just worried about the precedent that we're sending and the cost. When we approve something like this, we're saying that it's okay for you to ignore our students' needs and other students will just pay for it, which is a precedent that I don't think we should be setting. And then the $100 is just too much for me. I think of an international student who's barely affording their tuition, who just got asked to pay $3,000 more a couple more months ago. And on top of that, we're burdening them even more with fees that they may not be able to pay. So while I appreciate what the referendum stands for and everything that would be providing to students, I just don't think the money should be coming from students. And I think you understand where I'm coming from. But feel free to respond or give any comments on that. And this is going to be the last comment we have.
I completely understand where you guys are coming from because the price tag is extremely high. But again, I hope you guys are understanding that with that price tag, you are not only supporting yourself with these resources, you are supporting other Bruins that do not have the opportunity to have these resources. So with that 25 being so high, you guys are investing in yourself and investing in your fellow Bruins. And that's the whole point of our university, is it not? The true Bruin values is to support each other. And with this $25, you guys can support those that will not be able to access any of these. So I hope you guys can understand that. And I hope you guys can actually think about what you guys are putting out there to the university, because it does set a standard, but also blocking students for having the option to pay for their own basic and essential needs also sets a precedent that I do not think that you guys would like to have. Regardless of if there are multiple referendums, and I think that they all should get approved. And I think that the students should have the option to vote on every single one of them, because they all are important and basic needs are important in general. So again, I hope that you guys can consider that. And I hope that you guys can look around in the room at every single student that is sitting here and that has supported this referendum.
Thank you. I think it's best if we move to a vote. Jonathan, can we get the official language you have to say?
Yes, it would be. I move to place the basic and essential needs referendum for $25 per quarter on the spring 2025 ballot.
Did anyone get that? Could you repeat it?
Yeah, I move to place the basic and essential needs referendum for $25 per quarter on the spring 2025 ballot.
Have you?
I move to place the wow, I'm already blanking. I move to place the basic and essential needs referendum for $25 onto the spring 2025 ballot.
Second.
Sorry, who was that? Mono? Have you motions, Mono seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. All against, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All abstaining, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. With a 0 to 12 to 2 vote, unfortunately, the basic essential needs referendum does not pass. We thank you all so much for being here, and I'm sure we're gonna have a lot to talk about and a lot of work to do. But just on my behalf, thank you so much for being here, and we really appreciate the work that you do. Sujano?
Sijana had to leave, so I'll be presenting on her behalf. Also, I apologize if my voice sounds a little off, but basically, we are just approving the on-campus campaign start date, and that'll be for things like signboards and meeting with clubs, and that will be on April 14th, and it'll be added to the elections calendar.
Do we have to vote on that? Could you motion, Josh?
Yeah. I motion to set the on-campus campaigning start date as April 14th, 2025.
I second.
Second.
Josh motions, Samim seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Please lower your hands. All against, all abstaining. With a 13 to 0 to 0 vote, that is approved. Last but not least, we have Kyland with a discussion of ASUCLA's lack of administrative support.
I want to move this to next week.
Okay, sounds good. Carolyn, SFS allocations.
Yes. This week we had a total number of 16 entities funded by SFS. 9 were USAC affiliated, 7 were not, and it was $18,214 allocated.
Any opposition? Seeing none, I adjourn this meeting at 9:15 p.m.
Don't forget